I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you want to know the origin of pirates. Well, in today's video, that's what I'm going to be giving you. We're going to go deep diving into the historical, the scientific, the facts, legends, and people that were pirates, going back into the sea life of it. So if you think that is a video you want to watch, make sure to continue watching up to this video. This is going to be one of my longer videos, at being 30 minutes. Let's get right into it. Part 1. The origin of piracy. Piracy is as old as sea surfing itself, the moment humans began transporting valuable goods across water. Others saw opportunity in taking them. The earliest records of piracy date back more than 3,000 years, when sea people raided ancient civilizations. These early pirates targeted ships carrying grain, metals, and striking quickly before vanishing into the vast blue. As global trade expanded, piracy followed. The Greeks wrote about the pirates as both criminals and adventurers. The Romans, frustrated by constant raids, launched massive naval campaigns to suppress them. Yet even Romans struggled to control the spiraling Mediterranean coastline. By the Middle Ages, piracy had spread across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Vikings' raids terrorized coastal towns, while Arab collateral dominated the Red Sea and Indian Ocean. Early religions developed its own pirate culture, shaped by geological politics and opportunities. But the era most people imagine when they hear the word pirate, the tyrannical hat, the cutlass, and black flags, emerged much later. The golden age of piracy, roughly around 16,500 to 1730, was flooded by global empires, colonial expansion, and the enormous wealth flowing across the Atlantic. European powers fought for control of the Caribbean, and in the chaos, thousands of sailors found themselves unemployed, underpaid, or abused by naval officers. Many turned to piracy, seeing it as a path of freedom, equality, and fortune. Pirates' crews often operated directly voting on captains and dividing loot fairly, a strict contrast to the harsh disciplinary of naval life. This era produced the most famous pirate in history, from Blackbeard to Anne Bonny, whose stories still shape modern image of pirates. Their exploits were dramatic, violent, and often courageous, but they reveal a world where lawlessness thrived on the edge of empires. The Golden Age didn't last long, but its legends endure. To understand why, we must explore the lives of the men and women who sailed under the Black Flag, rebels, criminals, and sometimes reckless heroes of the sea. Part 2. Life at sea. Life aboard a pirate ship was harsh, dangerous, and unpredictable, yet it offered freedoms rare in the 17th to 18th century. Unlike naval vessels, where captains ruled with outlined rights, responsibilities, and share of plunder, these archaeologies were signed by every crew member, creating a sense of unity and fairness. Pirates elected their captain and could vote to remove them. Decisions about attacks and punishments were often made collectively. This documentary structure attacked sailors who had suffered under brutal naval officers, making it so they were more likely to have less of a punishment, or greedy, manageful captains. Daily life revolved around maintaining the ship, repairing sails, cleaning decks, and preparing for battle. Food was simple: salted meat, hand-trekked beans, and whatever fresh supplies they could steal or trade. 4. Rum was common, though drunkenness during combat was forbidden, which is really weird considering in most pop culture movies we can see that most of the pirates are usually drunk. The weapons were interesting. Pirates carried pistols, cutlasses, knives, and grenades. They preferred interminable over bloodshed. A terrifying repetition often conveyed ships to struggle without a fight. The iconic Jolly Roger flag served as a psychological weapon, signaling that residents would be meet with violence. Despite their fearsome image, pirate crews were surprisingly diverse. Africans, Indians, indigenous peoples escaped slaves, and sailors from across Europe served side by side. Some ships even offered equal share to all crew members, regardless of face or background. A idea for the time. Punishments varied. Minor offenses might result in extra duties, while serious crimes like theft from the crew could lead to I don't know what that is. Being abandoned on a desert island. Oh, that's what that is. With minimal supplies, yet combined our two naval disciplined pirates, justice was often more humane. Life at sea was filled with uncertainty, storms, diseases, and naval patrol post, constant threats. But for many pirates, the promise of freedom, adventure, and shared wealth made the risk worthwhile. Their world was one of danger and opportunity, shaped by the shifting tides of empire and rebellion. Part 3. Blackbeard. Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, is perhaps the most legendary pirate of all time. His fearsome appearance, a long black beard, slow burning fresh woven into his hair, and towering frame, made him a symbol of terror across the Caribbean and American coastline. Blackbeard began his career as a privateer during the War of the Spain's Solution Legionary, attacking enemy ships on behalf of England. When the war ended, he, like many pirateers, turned to piracy. His flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenue, was captured. France slave-shipped arms with dozens of cannons. Blackbeard's strongly reviewed on his opinion on it. He preferred to fighting ships and to surrounding others, entering in bloody combat. His reputation grew rapidly, flooded by dramatic stories, some true, some exaggerated, by newspapers, eagerly of bringing on a tale of really bad pirate tales. One of his most famous acts was the Blackened of Caroline, South Carolina in 1718. Blackbeard had entered the port hostage, demanding medical supplies that the city combined, and he released his captives unharmed. The bold move contained his status as a pirate mastermind. Despite his fearless image, Blackbeard was known for treating his crew fairly and avoiding unnecessary violence. He capitalized on personnel that made residents seem fertile, allowing him to control ships with minimal bloodshed. His downfall came later that year. The governor of Virginia demanded to the Blackbeard's region, sent Lintorn Robert Maynard to hunt him down. In a brutal battle off Orcanella Island, Blackbeard fought fearlessly, sustaining multiple gunshot and stab wounds before finally falling. His severed head was hung on the Mariners, whatever the fuck this is, ship, as a grim warning to others. Yet Blackbeard's legend only grew after his death. Today he remains the most known pirate, ruthless, Croning enlarged their life. Part 4. Anna Bonanna and Mary Read. Anna Bonanna and Mary Read were two of the most famous women in pirate history, known for their courage, defensiveness, and refusal to accept the limitations placed on women in the 18th century. Their stories are intertwined with that of the pirate captain Clerical Jack Wickham, whose crew they joined in the Caribbean, and Bonanna was born in Ireland and later moved to the Bishowen Farrison in Depument. And quick-tempered, she rejected traditional expectations and solid adventures. She met Wickham in North Solomon, a pirate haven, and joined his crew disguised as a man. Though she soon revealed her identity. Mary Read's path in piracy was equally unconventional. Raised as a boy to secure an ornamental worth, she served in the military before turning to piracy. When she joined Wickham's crew, she too disguised herself as a man, though Anna quickly discovered the truth. The two women became close allies, fighting along the men and earning respect for their skill and bravery. Witnesses claim they were among the fiercest fighters on the ship, often leading charge during the boarding attack. Sadly, their careers ended in 1720, when their ship was attacked by a British naval force. Most of the crew, drunk and unprepared, hid below deck. Anna and Mary, however, fought fiercely, refusing to surrender until overwhelmed. At their trial, both women claimed to be pregnant, which spread them from immediate execution. Mary died in prison, likely from fever. Anna's fate is less clear. Some believe her wealthy father succeeded her release, allowing her to live out her life quietly. Their legacy endures as symbols of rebel and revolutionary in a world dominated by men. Anna Bonanna, that's not the name, and Mary Read carved their own path, proving that courage knows no gender. Part 5. Bothwell Roberts. Bothwell Roberts, known as Black Bart, was one of the most successful pirates of the Golden Age. Unlike many pirates, Roberts was highly disabled, strikingly, and abnormalities over his career. He captured more than 400 ships, far more than Blackbeard or most of his captaineers. Robert began as a recreational pirate. He was forced into piracy when his ship was captured, but he quickly proved himself a skilled navigator and leader. After the death of the previous captain, the crew elected Robert to take command. He embraced the role with determination. Robert introduced strict rules to maintain order, banning gambling and excessive drinking. He dressed elegantly, often wearing a crimson coat and feathered hat. During battle, projecting confidence and authority, Robert operated across the Atlantic from the Caribbean to the West Africa. His speed, organized, and bold tactics made him a formidable operator. He often attacked heavily armed ships, relying on surprise and precision. One of his most famous exploits was the capture of a Portuguese treasure fleet near Brazil. Robert forced the governor to reveal which ship carried the richest cargo, then seized it without firing a shot. Despite his success, Robert knew piracy was a dangerous profession. He once declared he wouldn't rather fight like a man than kill it like a dog, a statement that foreshadowed his fate in 1722. He was killed in battle against the British warship HMS Swallow. His crew, honoring his wishes, buried him at sea to prevent his body from being displayed as a warning. Robert's career marked the peak of pirate power. His death signaled the beginning of the end of the Golden Age, as governments installed their efforts to eliminate piracy once and for all. Part 6, Calico Jack. There's only 2 more pirates I'm going into, and then we're going to go into the other parts of this video. But Calico Jack Rickham is best reminded not for his victories, but for his style. Crimson and the 2 legendary women he sailed with him. His nickname came from his brightly colored calico clothing, which set him apart from other pirates. Rickman began his career under the Nornish pirates Charles Van. When Van refused to attack a powerful French ship, Rickman challenged him, accusing him for cowardice. The crew sided with Rickman, electing him captain. Though not the most successful pirate, Rickman was bold and Trinifical. He designed one of the most iconic pirate flags, a skull with crossed swords, a victorious of the Jolly Roger, that remains popular in modern culture. Rickman's relationship with Ana Boena became central to his story. The 2 met in Noisen and quickly became inseparable. When Rickman received a royal pardon, Anna refused to settle into a quiet life, and the pair turned to piracy. The crew was small but daring, capturing several ships in the Caribbean. Mary Read joining them during this period, forming a trio that would become legendary. Rickman's downfall came in 1720 when the ship was ambushed by a British sloop. Most of the crew, drunk and from celebrating a recent capture, were unable to fight. Only Anna and Mary resigned, shooting at the men to come up and fight like heroes. Rickham was captured, tired, and exhausted, according to the legend. Anna visited him before his death and said, "If you had fought like a man, you wouldn't need not have been hung." Though his crew was shot, Calico Jack's legacy lives through his iconic flag and the executional women who sailed at his side. Henry Morgan. Part 7, Henry Morgan. Sir Henry Morgan was one of the most famous pirates of the 17th century, a man celebrated as a hero by the English and commonly as a criminal by the Spanish. Unlike many pirates, Morgan operated with government approval, attacking Spanish settlements and ships during times of war. Born in Wales, Morgan traveled to the Caribbean as a young man and quickly rose through the ranks of pirating. His boldness, striking mind, and ability to impress loyalty made him for a formidable leader. Morgan's most famous exploitation included the sack of Portobelo in 1668, where he captured one of Spain's most heavy fortified cities. With a small force, he used spread in physiological warfare and overall defenders. His greatest champion came years later in 1671, where he led more than 1,000 men to attack Prihamomo city. The journey across the jungle was brutal and the battle was fierce. The city burnt and Morgan returned to Jamaica with invincible wealth. Though Spain protested, England rewarded Morgan for his service. He was knighted and attended Lieutenant Government of Jamaica, where he spent his later years enforcing anti-piracy laws, and surprising turn for men who had once lived by the sword. Morgan's story blurs the lines between pirate and piratin. He operated in a world where legitimate depending on politics where violence was justified in the name of empire. His legacy reflects the complex relationship between piracy, power, and national orientation. Part 8. Pirates' Heavens. Pirates needed a safe place to rest, repair their ships, and sell stolen goods. These pirates' havens were ostensibly to their survival. The most famous was Norsenaro in the Bahamas, a boosting port where pirates Manchester and court official Maganor Pharaoh. Nassau became a pirate republic in the early 17th century, home to figures like Blackbeard, Calico Cat, and Charles Vane. The lack of strong government control allowed pirates to operate openly, trading, plundering for supplies, and enjoying a brief period of freedom. Other havens included Trenegal in France, controlled islands known for its Trevins and Brethels, I don't know what that is, and Port Royal in Jamaica, once called the Winkledust City on Earth. These ports thrived on piracy, benefiting from the wealth pirates brought in. In the Indian Ocean, the islands of Madagascar served as a base for pirates targeting trade routes between Africa, India, and the Middle East. Its roots location made it difficult for European powers to control. These havens were more than hideouts. They were communities where pirates formed alliances, shared information, and lived outside of constraints of territorial solutions. But as empires strengthened their naval forces, these structures became targets. By the 1720s, most pirate havens had been controlled or brought under strict control. The end of these safe harbors marked the decline of large-scale piracy, as pirates could no longer operate with impunity. Part 9. The fall of piracy. The golden age of piracy ended not because pirates lost their dynamite, but because the world around them changed. European empires expanded their naval power, trade routes became more secure, and governments' crew deterred the ultimate piracy once and for all. One major factor was the end of the War of the Spanish Succession. Thousands of pirateers suddenly found themselves unemployed, and many turned to piracy. But as peace returned, governments no longer tutorialed these colonial sailors. Britain and Predator launched aggressive campaigns to hunt down pirates. Naval patrols increased, and captured pirates were tired and exhausted, executed publicly as a warning. The famous pirate execution in London and Port Royal drew large crowds, enforcing the message that piracy would no longer be tolerated. The destruction of pirate havens like Norsenaro further weakened pirates' networks. Without safe places to repair ships and salute, piracy became more dangerous. Mechanical changes also played as roles. As global trade became more organized and heavily guarded, operational for piracy diminished. Merchant ships improved their defenses, and convoys made attacks more difficult. By the 1730s, most of the legendary pirates were dead, captured, or retired. The era of the swashbuckling pirate had come to the end, replaced by more controlled and regulated maritime world. Yet the stories of these pirates, their courage, brutality, and defensiveness continued to capitalize the public, ensuring their legacy would live on long after ships disappeared from the seas. Part 10. Pirates and Myth in Pop Culture. Through the golden age of piracy lasted less than a century, its influence on modern culture is immiscible. Books, films, and folklore had transferred historical pirates into large life figures, blending facts and fiction into endearing legacies. The romantic image of the pirate adventurers, rebellious and free, owns much of the 19th century literature. Works like The Treasure Island introduced tropes such as buried treasure maps marked with an X and parrots on shoulders. These elements, though really rare, became central to pirate mythology. Hollywood further shaped the pirate image. Swashbuckling films for the early 20th century. Portal Island Pirates was charming, rough, well modern. Furnitures like Pirates of the Caribbean added supernatural elements and humor. Characters like Captain Jack Sparrow blended historical imitations with pure fantasies. Pirates symbol, especially the Jolly Roger, remained iconic. The skull and the crossbone flag, once a sign of terror, is now used in fashion, sports, and entertainment. Yet real pirates were far more complex than their fictional counterparts. They were products of their time, rebels against harsh naval conditions, operational seeking fortune, and sometimes victims of criminalization. Their lives were dangerous, often short, and shaped by the brutal realities of colony expansion. Today, historians continue to uncover new details about pirate culture, changing myths and revealing the human stories behind the legends. This fractionable with pirates endears, because they represent freedom, danger, and the thrill of the unknown, timeless themes that continue to inspire imaginations. As we look back on the golden age of piracy, we see not just criminals but characters who shaped history, changed authority, and left a legacy that is still echoing across the sea today.